Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, a long-awaited episode of uh, what we call this, still unsure, the rugby show, the best rugby show in the world, with me, Finlay Reef, and my friend Finn Morton. Apologies for all the big listeners that we have nowadays. We've been quite busy with travels. Finn, tell us where you've been. Tell us what you've been doing.
Well, to be honest, mate, I'm just trying to breathe because I decided to put on this jersey, and when I got it 2 years ago, I think I was a bit smaller. So I'm just incredibly muscular. Been hitting the gym like you wouldn't believe. So this is what creatine does to you. No, but anyway, Western Province represent just because South Africa doing very well at the moment. But last weekend, mate, I was uh, I was Kiwi. Kiwi and me can out well and truly.
Mm.
I was over at Eden Park for All Blacks Island, which was insane. My first game at Eden Park in 10 years. First game as a journo there, which was unreal. And the week before, the Wallabies, Le Bleu, at the Cauldron, as we call it here, Suncorp Stadium. So been pretty hectic, but I got to see some of the modern day, though it's the modern day superstars of our great game.
Yeah.
You got over in a very different part of the world.
Yes, I got to witness the stars from the other end, the stars of the future, as I was in Georgia for the Junior World Championship. Honest to God,
Was
if you
that
ever get,
Was that just you? Was that just you looking in the mirror and just really rating yourself, or are you talking about the players on the pitch?
uh, just me looking in the camera, I've just
All
started
right,
because
that's an absolute superstar right there.
I've started my pre-season, and people are loving me right now. It's a new team, and they're like, Finlay, where do you want to play? And I'll go, guys, I'm not. It's not all about me. I'm about the team. Wherever you want me. And they'll go 10, 12, 14, 15, anywhere you want, Finlay. You're the star man. No, all jokes aside,
Like,
I've enjoyed.
there's no iron team, but there is in Finland. So like,
Got to
you know,
appreciate.
are
Got to appreciate
you
who we
ready for
are.
are you ready for the captaincy armband, or like, what's the club? Give them a shout out, and like, what level of responsibility are you going to take on here?
I'm going to be the responsibility of the cheerer. I'm going to be a cheerleader. Honestly, I'm really wanting to audition. We have two teams, two really good teams. Shout out Leaf Rugby. And currently in this pre-season, we're just trying to figure out who fits where, who's going to play where and stuff. And I've just joined in and just gone, let's go, lads. I'm also going to be dipping out for uh maybe like half of the season with work and everything. But do you know what? When I'm here, I'm gonna give my all. And that's all I can promise. That's all I can promise. But as many people will be relating in their preseason journeys, is that the bodies are hurting, the Broncos are putting us to the test, and I'm just getting ready for it. But you know what? It's exciting. It's exciting as lots of rugby players' seasons are coming to an end. Lots are just starting up again. Um, and yeah, wonderful time in the Junior World Championships. We'll give a special shout out to some players like Ethan Adams, Jake DL, unreal players. Trayvon Pritchard from Australia. Give him
Mhm.
a watch. But sadly, he snapped his ankle
Just-
on the semi-final against Wales. So I think
Yeah.
that's been out for about 6 months now. So wishing the best for his recovery because he was absolutely amazing in that tournament. One of their best players, 100%. So fingers crossed he can come back.
I do just want to say one thing on the Pritchards actually, because now also Trevon, very good. He played
Mm.
some footy for the Reds this year. Definitely. I think he was Global Youth Sevens MVP last year as well. I
Oh
think.
wow.
Um,
He's got
yeah,
that
I'm very
step.
sure
He's
he
got that
was.
step for sevens. He's absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
he was, or he's there or thereabouts, or could have been Wallace Charlie. Wallace Charlie was either last year or the year before. MVP Global Youth. Um, but Caden Pritchard followed me on Instagram the other day, and then immediately unfollowed me. His brother who plays for the Brumbies. So like, what's going on there? Clearly, what's going on there?
Are you
Like,
putting out a public call out to get a follow
well,
again?
like I got the notification. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then I like dismissed the notification, then went back into Instagram and he's not following me anymore. So yeah, to say I was a bit gutted is an understatement. But That's okay. We sold
But
her on.
don't let it put you down, Finn. You've been doing some absolutely amazing work on the social so far. Go follow Finn Morton Sports if you're not already following all of our channels. Uh, he's keeping everyone updated as we're going through the next couple rounds. So if you're wanting quick, big updates on the sport, follow Finn Morton. And I'll be doing. If you want any Scottish delirium, go follow me.
We'll,
But
we- we'll just go download the Rugby Pass app because I'd like to, they pay our wages.
yeah, they do pay our
So
wages. So yeah, please
yeah,
download the Rugby Pass app. Please
yeah,
go watch all of our documentaries, watch all of our YouTube videos so that Finn and I can keep doing this and also
yeah,
keep having the best jobs in the world. So
yeah.
please, please. But we digress. We're living an absolutely wonderful rugby life and the journeys. Okay. Quick note before we properly move on to the big chatter. Can you put into a couple words of a match day at Eden Park?
The pre-game, the whole stadium goes black, and it's just, I don't know, the entertainment, the match day experience is awesome. You feel the atmosphere, you feel the tension, you feel the relief if you're an All Blacks fan and the full time whistle goes and they've won again at Eden Park. Um, Mate, just start to finish. For anyone watching who's been, like, comment, message us with your own thoughts and memories of Eden Park and what it's like there to watch an All Blacks game, because it's dead and gravy, man. But it's I'm sure it's heaps better than Murrayfield.
You've not experienced a Murrayfield, and it's undescribable. So you're just gonna have to come up and try it for yourself.
Also went in the championship too, or the first block of games for the
Mm.
championship, like round three out of Cunning, but like it was exactly what you could want. And here we are, the premise of not the kind of when we started this pod, it was North versus South, and the whole idea is, it's we're kind of competing, or like, there's the elements of like we're representing the hemispheres here. That it finished, I think, 9-9 after the first three
It's
rounds.
pretty even right now. It is
That's
pretty
pretty cool, isn't it? That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like,
shows the
I
competition.
think, I think, All Blacks and Springboks, they're undefeated, not a surprise. Um, Go Western Province. Italy and Fiji been very disappointing, I think, so far. Wales, they've got to win. Huge. That's great for them. But I think as things are shaping up, it seems fairly likely you would think that already Italy will play Fiji in that sixth place game at Twickenham at the end of November. That's just the way it's looking. I just can't. I don't think Fiji can beat three of the Six Nations teams up north. I know that's what they've been playing all their games so far as well. So that probably is a bit of an insight into what's to come. And Italy, they've got some big games coming up, man, in November. So I guess time will tell.
Well, let's have a quick rundown. Let's just name every single team and give a quick rating out of 10 of how you think their first half of the Nations Championship has gone, and maybe a couple improvements and everything. We'll obviously start with the big dogs and we'll work our way down. Obviously, I think South Africa. Uh, we'll, we'll start with South Africa. I'm just going to give them a 10. I think they haven't put a foot wrong at all. I think realistically, their toughest game actually was against Scotland, but that says it all when there was still a big points gap margin towards the end. But honestly, they're unstoppable. How do you stop South Africa right now? What do you think, Finn?
I don't think you can stop them. I think that's why they've won 2 World Cups and they're favourites to win a third in a row. Yeah, 10 out of 10. You can't fault them. I mean, beating Wales 43-0, I think, and fairly emphatically getting the job done against England as well, and Scotland. Like, that's a team who is well and truly hitting their stride and has been for quite some time. And I still think they've got so much growth in them. Shout out Western Province. Shout out South African rugby. Third World Cup in a row. Loading.
Third World Cup in a row, back-to-back Junior World Championships. There doesn't seem to be a missing
Sevens.
factor in their game. World champions of the sevens. They are running the show.
It's the first time in history that any team, any nation has held back-to-back titles at Men's Rugby World Cup, Sevens World Championship, and Junior World Championship. It's pretty unreal, unprecedented. Dominance is the only word that comes to mind, and it's frightening. if you're a fan of any other nation, any other team, because it speaks to further success for South Africa down the line. You know, you're looking at three-peats in all of those competitions. You can't rule it out.
Yeah, it's exactly the point, and it's tough to see who can really put who can beat them, and it does really think that they're just going to do a third World Cup. But then again, you're probably thinking 2018 time, when All Blacks were on their massive run. They're nilling South Africa. They look some of the best in the world, and then they get beaten uh by England in the semi-finals of the Rugby World Cup in 2019. So that's still there's still the nature of rugby. There's still the team that might pop up and beat them. Right now, the only team that I think have a chance would either be France or All Blacks. But you know, England. There's a weird nature about England. They could just creep up and maybe get back in there or something, or even in Scotland. Like we're looking good, but hey, we'll just have to see. Moving on to the next team, I want to really delve into this one a wee bit more. Uh, All Blacks. Honestly, I think they've been amazing. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 for the whole for the start. Pretty perfect, pretty near damn amazing, especially in that Ireland game. They really showed that they are the big dogs. This is the All Blacks team that everybody should be fearing again, with the likes of Ruben Love, Cam Roygaard, all really coming up strong, and you still have that strength of depth in the more aged players and Jordy Barrett, Artie Savea, that can really lead that team into the coming season. But I'd maybe knocking down a couple points of, they almost lost to a second string French team. And those are maybe the only worries that I have. Maybe a little bit of a warm up since it was the first game, but there was only a 2 points difference in that game. So you've got to maybe knock them down for a couple points there.
Look, the only appropriate rating I think to give the All Blacks at the moment is probably you're looking at about an 8 out of 10, I think. They're new era, new coach under Dave Rennie. They're playing a lot of running rugby, man. Tell you what, like, if you're a rugby fan, you have to love the way the All Blacks are playing at the moment. It's
Yeah.
their DNA. It's what worked for them for so long. It's really exciting. That French game, slow start, really slow out of the blocks. They not that they should have lost it, but Damien Penaud scores after 19 seconds. That's a concern. Ruben Love goes off after 2 minutes for the yellow card. That's a concern. But yeah, but they got better. Another slow start against the Italians, but then the Irish game, man, they were emphatic. I thought that scoreline complimented the Irish, and they lost by about 19 points, I think. So the All Blacks just that good. Rugby's greatest rivalry is coming up now. They're touring South Africa, and these are the two teams we've highlighted first. What an awesome prospect that's going to be for rugby. But again,
Oh yeah.
go Western Province. Not that they're playing. Go the Stormers. We'll see how they go against the ABs.
As good as All Blacks are, when you compare them to South Africa, All Blacks still look beatable. If you have a Northern Hemisphere team that is on the dot, working well, they can still beat you, which is why I'm very, very looking forward to them coming up to Scotland. It's going to be a very tight match. Of course, last time we did almost beat you. If it wasn't for a DMAC absolute brilliance.
Masterclass.
Little shout out to DMAC. I was kind of just I was watching the Ireland game back, that I just really appreciated that, how much he's in his prime now. Everything seems to be so well fine tuned, and he's just complimenting the squad every single time.
He's making it work, but the thing with DMAC is in Super Rugby Pacific, he was so hot and cold, and he has been for quite some time. On his day, he's the best player in that competition, but when he's off, he's really off. But I think the smart thing that Dave Rennie's done is move him to fullback, where he's got more space in front of him. The playmaking pressure's off him a little bit, and he is making the most of it. Like, I think Dave Rennie said something a few weeks ago talking about moving Will Jordan to the wing. And he basically said, like, look, he's got the two best fullbacks in the world at his disposal, in McKenzie and Jordan. And, the way they're complementing each other as well. Josh Morby on the wing last weekend. I think the All Blacks are really onto something here. And like I said before, they're playing running rugby. It's their DNA. It's working. Very keen to see how it goes.
Moving on to France, it's a tough way to rate them. I'm going to be a bit more harsh because since they lost the game, and I'm not going to let them go. Oh, we brought our second team. You choose the team you want to bring, and if you want to bring your second string players and you don't want to bring your big dogs, then you're gonna suffer for it sometimes. So I'm gonna give them a 7 out of 10. If you want, like, I think they could have beaten the All Blacks, but you need your big dogs out there with an Entamac or a Dupont, just really giving that all. Even Bielbarre and stuff. Still got to see some absolute wonderful performances from Grandidier. Is that how you
Yeah,
pronounce it? Probably.
very.
He's been absolutely amazing. Looking good. They're like with the depth that they've shown, and even getting to the finals of the Junior World Championship, they have a very good system.
Yeah.
Just ha like, why is it this case that we only get to see the best team very, very every so often? We don't get to see it all the time against the biggest opponents.
It's a shame, eh? Because I mean, especially with the World Cup coming up next year, it would be, you'd think, ideal preparation for a team like France to have the likes of LBB, Dupont down here, Thomas Ramos, like, like these guys, like, yeah, getting a chance to get used to Australian conditions because it's a little bit different to what you guys have
Mhm.
up north, right? It's humid, the ball's dewy, and it is a factor. That said, I agree with you. I think you can only really give France a 7, only because yes, there's an asterisk because they brought a slightly weaker squad, but I don't think because of that the expectation was never to beat the All Blacks, and they got bloody close. I think it was a 2 point game in the end. So the fact they got close is huge. They were very poor in the first half against the Wallabies, better in the second, um, and then rounding it off against Japan. So yeah, they challenged their depth. Our man Aaron Grandiddy and Kanang, getting a run, scoring 2 tries on debut. I got to speak to him, interviewed him, literally as soon as he walked out of their change room after the cap presentation. I could hear the cap presentation. They were going nuts, as you can imagine. Getting around the debutantes, and that was cool. And the other debutant, Moses Elo Emil, who went to school 3 kilometers away from Suncorp Stadium at Brisbane State High. But
Wow.
he had no offers to stay in Australia. He played Queensland schoolboys, had no offers to stay in Australia, so he went to France, Stade Francais. 8 years later, he's back in Brisbane playing against the Wallabies for the French. And when the media manager went over to him and said, "Oh, Moses, can you speak with Finn?" English interview. He walked over to me and he went, "Oh no, I don't speak English very good." And I'm forgetting, and like it was just such a something like, and then like and we were just talking a little bit. Like we graduated the same year. He was at State High. I was at Brisbane Boys College, and a few
Wow.
guys he knows that I know. So, yeah, that was good fun. But yeah, France 7 out of 10. Bring on November for them.
Beyond November. That I you said this touchy note that I think this is the difference between the North versus the South. You said that there was no expectations of them to beat the All Blacks. I from North side, we would have thought France would have beaten you guys. So that shows the difference of the narrative and who thinks what. I think France are like when they have their best squad, I think they are number two, number one in the world. I think they're the only team that could beat this Springbok side. And I'm quite happy that they haven't gone against Springboks yet so that they can bring their best team on. But I hopefully think once this competition develops, that they'll start to think, oh, we should be taking this a bit more seriously. And at the end of the day, what's 3 extra weeks? I know it's a long, long season, but what's 3 extra weeks to properly put your foot in as a rugby great after you do a top 14 final or something like that?
Mhm.
Just I don't like this idea of parking a competition so that you can do another thing. What really tests a great and a great in the sport is when you do it all, and you don't try and prioritize one or the other. You just go for it, and you just see how it comes out. If your body is battered and bruised and you're not able to play your best, then yes, that's fine. Go take a wee seat in the corner. But I want to see France really dominate, world rugby for the next maybe 5 years or something, because I think they have that type of squad that can do that. And you have teams like Springboks that, they're maybe they at the same time they're not prioritizing their club teams. They don't prioritize the Champions Cup. They don't prioritize the Challenge Cup. But then they're dominating the international scene. But so I really want to see someone really come up and go, okay, we're going to do it all. We're going to dominate every single field across the way. But moving on, I'm going to move on to England now. Hot topic and ups and downs. I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10. I wasn't too disheartened by their performances against Fiji and Argentina. I think they were very good games, good standard. Just that South Africa game was terrible. And if they're really going to be that top team that they want to be, and they keep saying that they're in this learning phase, but that learning phase has been going on for the past 2 years. When do you actually turn it on and be that team? And there's here the narrative anyway. There's a lot of discourse about who plays where. Everyone's a bit shocked that Henry Pollock hasn't actually started a game yet, this Nations Championships, but there's a lot to figure out. There's a good team there, but there is still a lot to figure out. And when do they get the best out of it all?
Yeah, I think just to be different, I'm going to give them a 6.1 out of 10 because I think you're reading my mind a little bit there. But I think also with England, the thing is that you could go back to even the Autumn Nations series last year, right? They're beating teams like the All Blacks, the Wallabies. They're a team who everyone was starting to buy into the hype, right? That less than 2 years out from a Rugby World Cup, this team was going to be a contender. Even at the World Cup draw last October here in Sydney, kind of talking amongst journos, and my takeaway was, because, you map out how the World Cup's going to look, and my takeaway was England have a fairly decent chance here at making a semi-final, if not the big dance. And then anything could happen. But now you're just like, whoa, what is happening with this side? Because I don't think they're trending in the right direction. Yes, they smash Fiji. Fiji did have a red card, keep in mind. They lose badly to South Africa. And then they go to Argentina, they scrape a win, and I understand very hostile conditions, and it's not easy winning over there regardless. But are they doing enough to really kind of really confirm their status as being one of the top dogs in men's international rugby? I don't think so.
No. What really worries me for them as a team in general is that they've beaten everybody, but they've also lost to everyone. So what does that mean? And when you're going into a 27 World Cup, when you're on neutral ground, because don't want to hammer them too much, but they beat Fiji at their home game in England, so you can't take too much from that. This Fiji team are definitely going through phases and stuff. So and England just had to put out their best squad because they had such a horrible game against South Africa. If they were really in control of what their direction, what their plan was, they would have still been able to put out a second string team, given Henry Pollock a start. Obviously, Van Rensburg came on and did impress, but he could have started. Noah Kaluri could have started. You could have really tested some bodies to go, okay, this is a second string. This is a bad team right now, but we need you to take control, which is, it's a real issue for them. I personally would get rid of. I'm in this headspace of get rid of Steve Borthwick. I just don't think he plays the best rugby that England need, and it's just a bit too up and down. Now, everybody then questions who would you bring in instead?
I'll do it.
Go on.
I'm free. I'm available. I'd have to get out of my current contract with Rugby Pass, but I'm available to take on the England coaching job. And now seems like a very inappropriate time to tell you a quick story, Finlay, but my football manager exploits and how successful I was on there, taking Dartford from the 6th tier to the Premier League, three-peat Champions League. There was talks of a statue, I'm sure. Then Dartford in real life sacked their manager.
And then
So I sent the club my CV from Football Manager and said, I'm available. I just got an email back saying, that's hilarious, we're going to show the chairman. But same thing goes to the RFU. If they do want to replace Borthwick at any point, I'm sure I can give it a whirl. So I'm available.
I would offer my skills as well, but however, I'm holding out for that Scotland job. I'm really thinking that's still in the realm, and I think we still got it. But one day, not right now. I'll chat to David Nucifora and see how he's trying to take this team and really develop it.
Let's
But
pick his
if they
brain.
don't go for you, Finn, and they really
Yep.
are that big team, I'd bust the bank. I'd do
Yep.
whatever it takes to get Andy Farrell into that England squad. I just think in my head, I know he coaches Ireland, but let's just add some spice into the rugby world and just go, do you know what? You're English, you're a top rugby coach, and he could turn that England squad into winners. And I think he's more likely to win a Rugby World Cup with England than he
Yeah.
is with Ireland. It will be interesting to see. It will shake the rugby world, but hear me out here. I think it could be done.
But didn't you say a couple of weeks ago that you think England are less likely than the Wallabies to win a World Cup? So what you're saying is that the Wallabies have a better chance at winning a World Cup than Ireland.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah. Uh-huh. Right now, they definitely are. Um, I think that All Blacks game puts a bit of worry into Ireland. I will still say Ireland are number 4 in the world. I don't want to go. I know we've heard some big names say Scotland are up there in the top 3. However, I'll put on my mature brain for a little bit, and I'll admit that since we've still not beaten Ireland, you've got to put Ireland 4th best team in the world. But I think as the years go on, people are just getting a bit more worried, and sorry, and your young lads, your young names like Sam Prendergast are coming in and they're not quite lighting up the world. England have a bet. I think England still have a better chance than Ireland of winning the World Cup. I think starting Sam Prendergast, like a young up and coming Sam Prendergast, doesn't get you excited like a young Henry Pollock right now. So I think there's real or even a young Noah Clory, very different players obviously, but that level is just not there right now, and they really need to start being like, oh, what do we do here? Um, and they need a couple shake-ups, and they really need to build that squad. They've still got some amazing players, but like we've said in the past, that these players are getting older, and we're seeing blips of them really not challenging. And that New Zealand game was a bit of a worry in the end. I didn't expect it to be that big a points margin.
Yeah, I think that New Zealand result probably highlights the fact that Ireland are trending in the wrong direction. They're a team who, if there was a World Cup 2 years ago, despite the quarterfinal curse, you'd be saying Ireland should be challenging for the Webb Ellis Cup. I don't think they will next year. I
No.
I genuinely think the quarterfinal curse could and will strike again because I think they're due to play Argentina, depending on how things play out in the quarterfinals. So
Mm.
that's no gimme. Flashbacks to 2015 if you're an Irish fan, but I think yeah, Ireland's lucky to beat Australia here in Sydney. Ben Donaldson, very tough kick. I think the Wallabies had to take that kick after the siren to win that, but they'd had another penalty attempt a few minutes earlier. Missed that. And I just think the Wallabies, their poor discipline cost them, gifted the Irish an opportunity to win that game. Lachlan Shaw, unfortunate to get a yellow card on debut, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Then they bounced back against Japan in Newcastle here in Australia, which for people who haven't been to this part of the world, that's 2 hours drive north from Sydney, so the Irish didn't have to travel too far, but the Japanese did before going back to Japan. Um, but yeah, I think overall for the Irish, we probably have to give them, uh, I'd probably say a 6 out of 10 feels right, but you could give them a
You
five.
you could bump it down. You could bump it
I'd
down.
give them a
It's
five.
if you're saying a 6 out of 10, you're saying that's above average. But were they above average?
Yeah.
I could say a
I
4.
think I I think the bare minimum was obviously beating Japan and beating the
Yeah,
Wallabies, but they just beat the Wallabies. And they went to Eden Park with the expectation of, hey, we're going to try and break this record, this streak that the All
yeah.
Blacks have there. And they fell well short. Like I said before, that score complemented the Irish. They lost by 19 points.
I think,
But realistically, by half time, the match seemed practically over. If you're an All Blacks fan, you were a lot calmer at half time than you were at kickoff. It was a 21-point ball game. The All Blacks very rarely squander a 21-point advantage. So the Irish, not the results they would have wanted, but again, different beast, different gravy when November rolls around and they're playing at home. But yeah, I don't think they'll be challenging for the Nations Championship as things stand.
no, I'll give them a 5 out of 10. I think if they beat Australia by a margin, you could bump them up to a 6. But like you said, it wasn't convincing, and it wasn't. Nobody's walked away from Ireland, those Ireland tests, going, "Wow, there's something good happening here." So, we'll just have to see what happens in the future. Obviously, they do play well when they're back at home. It is a bit of a fortress up at the Aviva, but with this squad going now, I could still see some surprises coming along. But moving on, I'm very intrigued by this team right now. We both are. I think we both expressed our enthusiasm for the Wallabies right now, and despite losing a couple games, well, not a couple games, but losing to Ireland and France,
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a 6. I'm going to give them a 6. I think they still didn't look down and out. I don't think they looked beaten, but they were still able to finish their nation championships on a high against Italy, and they still excite me. Like you said, one missed kick and they've beaten Ireland right there. I'll give them a 6 out of 10. I'm still liking what's coming along.
The first halves, they get an 8 out of 10. Their second halves get a 4 out of 10. So split the middle, 6 out of 10 overall. It's just the same old story with the Wallabies, and it has been that case for a while, where they muscle up in the first half and they really match it with some of the big boys in world rugby. And then you kind of just know at halftime there's this inevitable sense of it's going to go wrong. Everything's going to fall apart. That's what had happened here at Allianz Stadium in Sydney. That's what happened at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. I don't think there was any, I don't want to say confidence, but there was always this feeling that, okay, this match is still going to be very tense. The Wallabies, it never felt like the Wallabies were going to run away with wins. Their discipline, big talking point. The lack of impact from their bench, another talking point. They amended things against Italy, a team they hadn't beaten since 2018. Lost their last two to them, winning 57-10, emphatic. The likes of Fraser McWright, Ben Donaldson coming off the bench due to injury. They weren't named in the starting side, but Josh Canham became the first Wallabies lock ever in 127 years to score a hat-trick. That's pretty unreal. And he's now scored 4 tries in 3 games. So one of the MVPs, I think, from the Nations Championship so far. But overall, Wallabies 6 out of 10. That's an end to the Joe Schmidt era. Les Kiss is taking over as coach. He's naming his first Wallabies squad tomorrow at, I believe, 1 p.m. That'll be a presser here in Sydney. So keen for that. Big shoes for him to fill, Les, considering the guys who have followed. He's following. Dave Rennie, Eddie Jones, Joe Schmidt, all in their own rights, world-renowned, very successful coaches. And you can say what you want about Eddie Jones. He's a very good coach. He did not get things right with the Wallabies, I don't believe. I think he had to do those things by naming younger players because something had to change, but results weren't met. But he gave it a good crack. But you think about the caliber of those coaches. Again, Rennie, Jones, Schmidt. Now Les Kiss, who has never coached an international rugby team as a head coach before, is trying to do what those 3 couldn't and turn the Wallabies into a consistently winning side. Massive mountain to climb. Very intrigued to see what he does with this squad and what he can do with this team moving forward.
It's you've always I never knock a coach for not having international experience. It's just that DNA, and I think Australia have been missing a bit of DNA for a while, and they really need to just build that up from the start and really have that consistent squad of what's going on. They have a much better. Their processes are getting better, I'd say. I think with their uses of the under-20s and even using the 7s to build up players. I think there's some really good signs there. and they're really trying to build the right foundations to get the really good players uh into the Wallaby squad. I want to put you to the test and give your ratings, not ratings, but I want you to rate 1 to 6 all of the Australian fly halves. You've had 6 different fly halves over the past 2 years, I'd say.
There's
And
been there's been 9.
nine. Well, I'm
So,
going for the most recent 6 anyway.
yeah.
Um, I'll name them for you, and you can rate them 1 to 6 because there seems to be a bit of an issue of who is the best, which ones are you playing.
Mhm.
Obviously, we'll base it down all on fit. If everybody's fit, who would you want to be at your fly half spot? And if there's one of the 6, well, if there's a in the 9 you have in your head and there's one I've not named, then please say that he's your top spot. But 1 to 6, Declan Meredith, obviously the most recent starter. Uh, where do you put him?
So is this like a blind ranking? Okay.
Uh, I could give you all the names to be fair. It doesn't
Well,
have to be
no, okay.
blind.
No, well,
Can
I
you
think with
remember the
Declan,
last 6 that have started?
yeah, well, I could tell you them in order if you want. Like the starts with Noel Olosio against Fiji just before the Lions series. At the moment, you'd have him around 6, I think. Then it was Tom Liner, who I would have, oh, Ben Donaldson off the bench. I'd have Donaldson at 2. I would have Tom Liner as the 4th best fly half in Australia at the moment, maybe 5th. I would have next up was Tane Edmond. No, it was James O'Connor. James O'Connor, I would have James at 7. I would have Tane Edmond at 8. I'd have Hamish Stewart at 9. Carter Gordon as 1. And then Declan Meredith. Actually, no, hold on. I'm going to
No, you
bump the
didn't.
lower guys up one. Jock Campbell is 9. Declan Meredith is 3. So it would be, let me just do this
What?
quick again.
So you had
So
Carter Gordon number 1.
I'll work my way up. Okay, so it'll be Jock Campbell, Hamish Stewart, James O'Connor, Noel Olosio, Tane Edmond, Tom Liner, Ben Donaldson. No, Tom Liner, Declan Meredith, Ben Donaldson, Carter Gordon.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's off the
Very
dome.
confident
So
with that. No, that's pretty
hope
good.
that's 9. I hope
You
that's
you
9.
named all the 6 I had anyway, and the extras. So well done to you, you genius.
Yeah, so
But
because Jock Campbell, he was a bit of a shot call before the French test. He's never started the game at 10 for the Queensland Reds.
mhm,
I think he's played some minutes there as cover. But with Dono being ruled out of the French test, they named Jock Campbell on the bench, basically fly half cover.
mhm,
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating talking point debate in Australian rugby at the moment because I'm going to say it here now. There have been 9 fly halves in Australian rugby playing for the Wallabies in the last 12 months. But I think by the time the World Cup comes around next year, I think Carter Gordon will be there, Ben Donaldson will be there, and I also think Bernard Foley will be there, who is not one of those 9.
Ooh,
Now, Foley has been to back-to-back Japan Rugby League 1 finals with the Kubota Spears and
yep,
reportedly is on his way to the Waratahs at 37 years of age, I believe. So he'll be eligible. And you talk about those experienced players in the squad who may or may not play. I think that's important. And I think that's something the
yeah,
Wallabies maybe missed a trick out on at the last World Cup when they left out the likes of Quade Cooper, obviously
mhm,
Michael Hooper as well. Not that he's a fly half, but it was Carter Gordon and Ben Donaldson as the only options to play at 10 in that World Cup squad at 23. Carter Gordon had only played 5 tests before the World Cup, and 3 of those were starts. So very inexperienced, but yeah, I think having someone like Foley in the mix, cruise the ball time, I think he will be there. So
mhm.
yeah, let's wait and see.
It's a fantastic point there because I think with I was shocked. I was shocked to read that stat that you've had that many different fly halves, and it's essentially it is one of your most important positions on the field. So
Quarterback.
having that change about so often, how can you create that consistency if that guy's not there? But Carter Gordon to you
Mm.
is the answer.
I think he has to be. So he's only played 2 tests for the Wallabies since returning from league. He obviously went to the Gold Coast Titans for a bit, played 1 game. But injury has been an issue, both in Super Rugby Pacific throughout the spring till last year, and now during the July internationals. He's only played 55 minutes in both of his 2 appearances so far. One against Italy last year, the other one against Ireland earlier this month. But he's a gun, man. He's a smart footballer. He's actually a lot quicker than I thought he was. Defensively, he muscles up. He's very Stephen Larkham, Johnny Wilkinson-esque in that regard, but he can't goal kick. And that's an issue for the Wallabies, but they may have found the answer in Ryan Lonergan, who's the new starting halfback, new starting scrum half. So maybe that kind of mends any issues potentially by selecting Carter Gordon. But I think if all 9 of those guys, 10 including Foley, are fit, Carter Gordon's your man.
General, where would you put Carter Gordon in fly halves right now? Top 5, top 10,
No, top 10. Top 10.
top 10. Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, you could look at like 4 of the top 10 are from New Zealand, aren't they? Ruben Love, Daniel McKenzie, Bowden Barrett, Richard Mo'una's on his way back. Man, we could go further. Josh Jacobs pretty good.
You know I love a Rich. You know I rate Richard Mo'una, but no, no. He is up there, but they're not. They're not top 5 isn't all New Zealand. You'd have it. You have.
No, I'm not saying the top 5 is all New Zealand. 4 of the top 10 from New Zealand. Then you'd have at least 2 from South Africa, maybe 3. You know, you could even argue like Finn Smith, George Ford, Marcus Smith from England are probably top 10, or at least ahead of Carter Gordon.
Finn Smith is top 10. Oh, this is gonna be a future topic debate because we could just get into this for an hour straight.
This is fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too many. Because I'm even thinking of 10s from South Africa. Currently, Vusamoy was pretty decent against Wales, but Sasha's the only one that makes it into the top 10 for me right now. Manny Libot just ain't that guy.
He's 2-time World Cup winner. You know, like he's better than Carter Gordon.
Manny 2-time?
Yeah, he is. He's 2-time.
Did he make? So. Was he in that 2019 squad?
Actually, I said that pretty damn confidently for someone who's not 100% sure. So
he's not. I'm like 60% sure he wasn't in the 2019.
I mean, you'd have Sasha.
Good player and everything. He's got that flair, but in the moments that matters, he doesn't bring it. Hendrik Pollard
has to be there.
No, currently he's not top 10. He used to be, but he's nowhere near that thing. If you talk about top 10 goal kickers, he's there. Andrew Pollard's there, but top 10 fly half in general, he's left the top 10 now.
Look, I'm going to say Carter Gordon's probably lucky to be in the top 15 at the moment. I think he's very good. Very good. I'd love to go through this. I think he's just out of the top 10, probably.
Well,
but I think at least 4 of the top 10 are from New Zealand.
Let's talk about that next week or next time. But for just now, we have to move on. Since we're talking about fly halves, we have to talk about one of the best countries in the Nations Championship so far, and that is Scotland. Do you know what? I'm gonna give them an 8 out of 10. I was very happy in general with how they've played and how they've gone about with the whole tournament in general. I think they've been absolutely amazing, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how things have gone, and I'm looking forward to the future that is to come. I think with this experience that's getting built, we weren't that far off South Africa. We were just missing a couple points, a bit inefficient in the lineouts, but we're looking good. We're looking really good, and I'm excited for anybody that wants to come to Murrayfield and give us a challenge.
Yeah, missing a few points. That was an issue for Fiji against England as well. That was the only thing stopping them from winning that game. Is if they had more points, they probably would have won. So yeah, good argument that one. But yeah, I can't see any way not to give Scotland anything but a 1 out of 10, strictly because any success they have is nothing but a fluke. And they're clearly just not a good rugby team. I think they would lose to Romania, and
You're
maybe sneak
winding me
by
up. Th-
and maybe
This isn't
sneak by Fiji, by
this
Finland at the
isn't
moment. So
2010. This isn't 2010 Scotland anymore that
uh,
are looking that might lose to um Romania or only score one try against USA. No, this is a top team now. You see the real difference. And I'll point on, we could have done the England thing. We could have done the England thing against Fiji and beaten them 76-5 or whatever, but we didn't. We went and played our second string players and we gave ourselves a bit of a challenge, a bit of a test. We were losing 17-7 at halftime, fair enough. But then we brought on Pierre Schoeman, couple more big boys, and went, right, go and win us the game. And then they didn't score a point in the second half. That's how good we are. We could have done that to feed. We could England have to take themselves as like, okay, this I'm talking about Scotland and I'll end up going against England. But I think that's just a stark comparison that we're confident in our game plan. We're confident in what we do right now, and what the team brings. That we can play a lot of second string players because as I've criticised Scotland in the past, is that we've not given enough time to our second string lads. But we're now actually going, hey, right, let's give them a go. Let's see how they do. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come in the future. Top team, top nation. I think we could like if everything falls perfectly for us in the autumn, we could go free for free.
do you think the Scotland team has what it takes to make out of the pools to make it out of the pool of the World Cup, or is that something that you're not going to do again?
Well, thank God for World
Groundhog
Rugby's
Day.
reformat of the competition. Then also thinking about when they do the pool draw, because if we hadn't, I'm still a bit angry about when we did the 2023 pool draw and then we decided to get good. Uh, but if like we right now in our group is it's Ireland. Ireland are the big dogs to beat in our pool, and with how we've been talking, with how things have been saying, we're going on the up, and they're going on a little bit on the down. So I think if there's ever a time to break that 9 year curse, almost 10 year curse now, it's now. Let's beat Ireland in the Six Nations, and then really put some fear into them when we go to Australia, and then when we beat them, or even do you know what? Do you know what? Sorry, even if we lose to Ireland, we're going against France, on neutral ground in 20. We'll be like with how World Cup's been predicted, we'll go against France, who we've beaten plenty of times. And neutral ground is just going to hinder France completely. We get into their heads so easily, and they get wound up. They make silly mistakes, and we end up scoring lots of points against them. And and I'm not even basing this off the last Six Nations game we've had. We've done it time and time again. France and beating England and France are now it's just a thing for us. We're happy to do that. The only teams that we really need to be looking forward to beating are the three teams above us: France, New Zealand, and South Africa. Those are the teams we're worrying about now. We've got everyone else sorted out. These are the teams we need to worry about, and that shows the growth of what Scottish rugby's at. That we're feeling a lot more confident. We were not, none of us were confident about beating South Africa or Ireland in 23. But now, coming up, I wasn't like, knew we were going to lose to South Africa, but we didn't make a tit of it at all. Literally just a couple mistakes here and there. But we kept in the game, 14-all at halftime. I think that says a lot. And then yeah, I genuinely hold me to this. I do think I was really confident last year that we'd beat All Blacks, but definitely this year we are definitely beating the All Blacks. We will, and the history will finish. We're going to be breaking records this year. Come on, Scotland.
You're nothing but persuasive. So I'd like to change my Scotland rating. If that's okay, because
Please.
now,
One out
now
of
that you made those
10.
points, like a 1 out of 10 seems too disrespectful. So I'd like to give them a 2. And I think, yeah, anything can happen. So Scottish rugby's on the rise.
I want you. I
Yeah,
want you
and
at least giving. I want you at least giving a 6 out of 10 by the end of this Autumn Nations.
it will
You'll
see.
be really.
We'll
You'll
see.
be really happy. Uh,
We'll
the-
see, but like I'm not easily won over. But I will just say that Japan get an 8 out of 10 for beating Italy so well, and I just think Japan are a team that Scotland should fear. So I think yeah,
gone are
Japanese
the
rugby.
days. Gone are the days we worry about Japan anymore. They're just we. They're in our back pockets at this point. We
How
will beat
big
them.
for
It's easy. It's too
so
easy for
so
us.
big for your so big for your boots now, man. Haven't won anything.
I'm not.
Man, look,
I've
man,
not been
my
impressed at all by what Japan have been doing at all. Same with Italy, Wales. Sadly, like I think we can sum up all these teams and say that they've just been a 5 out of 10.
love
Nothing.
that, yeah.
I don't think any of them have actually. Same with Fiji. I wouldn't hinder them too much. I think they've been dealt some bad cards, but all those 4 teams, 5 out of 10s. There's a lot they need to improve on, and they've really not excited anybody this nation's championship so far.
I think Welsh fans be pretty damn chuffed with having a win. That's a fairly rare occurrence for them. So good on the Welsh. Yeah, two of my
Sounds
grandparents are Welsh. So no, hey, look, they that's a game they needed to win against Fiji. They were playing in Cardiff as the away team. It must have been. I presume you went to Scotland, Fiji. It must have been weird to see Scotland play as the away team at Murrayfield. Like you
I
know,
was I was sadly still in Georgia at that moment, but
that's a good
my
point.
my friends and told me that it was a wonderful experience. It was wonderful to see Fiji come out. There was lots of singing, dancing. They really brought the atmosphere, but not at one point, even when they were losing 17-7 at halftime, not at one point were they actually worried we were going to lose.
Yeah.
It's just this is now the expectations we're now setting. This is the DNA that's now coming through in this squad. And
Yeah.
even with the Junior World Championships, we've got players that are coming up. It's just how do we bleed them through? Like we've only got Glasgow and Edinburgh, so how do we really bleed them through? Like speaking of, this is a little you may be aware that Gregor Townsend's been helping out with a lot of Newcastle Red Bulls. Uh,
Yeah, there you go.
and he's been helping Newcastle Red Bulls out. And in fairness to him, he's been a bit of a secret agent and he's been prioritizing a lot of Scottish talent, like Jake DL, only 17 again, but he's signed for Newcastle Red Bulls. I think that's a fantastic team to really develop your craft as a player. And you don't have to sit in the back seats of Glasgow and Edinburgh, and we can be using Newcastle a lot more as a team where we can shove players down there and let them build up there. And even with Prem teams across the board, Josh Bayliss doing absolutely amazing things at Bath, and Fergus Burke at Saracens. Like we're across the field, and as long as our big players are all in a team where they can get starting minutes, really improve. Obviously, Hugh Jones moving to France as well. These players are really going to develop their craft and just become better players. This isn't this way that we as a nation should ever keep Scottish players in Scotland. Scottish players, and many, I believe the same with Ireland as well. I will even argue it for England. There's just we're not big enough countries to say stay here. Just go away and play the best rugby that you can play, and then we'll try and bring it all together in the international times in those 3-4 weeks where you get together and stuff. I don't care if you all play for Edinburgh or you all play for Glasgow. Like there can be some good signs there when you have especially in this squad, you have a really strong Glasgow contingency. But right now, it's get out there, play the best rugby you can do, and come back as the best version of yourself, the best rugby player that you can be. And hey, I'm I'm very confident. I'm very confident going forward and where we're going to be in the next 5, maybe even 10 years now. We'll see. This opinion could change in November, but I'm confident.
And welcome back to another episode of the Scottish Rugby Podcast. My name's Finn. This is also Finn. And here we just talk about how much we love Scotland. And how good is haggis? Can we just start there?
Well,
I'm
well,
kidding.
you visited. I wonder if I still got that video of you trying
I
haggis.
do. It's on my Instagram. Yeah,
You,
that was not an enjoyable dining experience. There I was trying to try the local cuisine. I said, "Oh, let's go for a few beers," and suddenly I'm having liver, whatever it is.
but no,
Yeah.
sorry. I did just go off and talk about Scotland when we were talking about Wales
No,
and
no. To be
Japan and
honest,
the other
it's
nations.
important. It's important because I think the big takeaways from the Nations Championship are which teams, and it's basically the general gist of this episode. I think, right? Like which teams lived up to expectations, which teams didn't, and who's shown something exciting as we look towards the World Cup next year.
Mm,
Scotland are on the up. Ireland are on the down. I'm really not sure about England. I think they're plateauing and probably heading downwards, not trending in the right direction. I think the All
mhm.
Blacks are trending up, despite being the second best team in the world at the moment.
No,
And I think
I'll give that to you.
The Springboks continue to challenge their depth in a way which is that's what separates them at World Cups is their depth is they have so many guys who debut and are capped in a World Cup cycle that's why they are the force they are. The Wallabies, I think they're on the up. Like I said, I'm very keen to see how Les Kiss goes. You know, again, Donaldson makes that kick. They beat Ireland. We're talking about them winning 2 of their 3 tests in July. This is a very different conversation. We're giving them an 8 out of 10, probably. You know, like,
Mm.
um, but the biggest disappointment for me in the Nations Championship was Fiji. I said that on TikTok the other day. Hurts me to say it because I love watching Fiji play. Um, but the strength of their squad is so good. The players they've got, Tuasova and Vakatawa in the centers last week. Whoa. Caleb Muntz at 10, Isaiah Armstrong Ravula at 15, Peter Gus Sowakula, former All Black at blindside flanker, Kanako Vasa at number 8. Like, this team is stacked, man. Big Tev up front, captaining the boys a hooker. This team cannot be winless. They can't be 0-3.
Mm.
But they have been so far off the pace in all 3 games. It's not like they've lost thrillers. Finlay. They've been beaten. They were beaten fairly comfortably by Wales. They were beaten bloody convincingly by England, albeit because of a red card. I understand it's a factor. But then, and then in their final game, they are beating Scotland at half time. But like you said, if you are Scottish, you still felt like the result was going to go your way. Fiji, after the success of the 2023 World Cup, where they made a quarter final, they very well could have beaten England in Marseille, but didn't. Now, fast forward, we're 14 months out from the next World Cup, and man, I don't know who they're going to play in the round of 16, but I don't know
Nervous.
if on current form they can progress any further.
Maybe they do just need some time to sit together, and I think it's harsh for Fiji because they don't get as much time together. They don't
Sure.
get those proper training camps to really lead up to one of these tournaments, and especially when you're not doing it in a familiar place, maybe like it may have been completely different if they played their games in Fiji, but there was also there was logistics reasons that they made that decision as well. It wasn't profit or anything like that. It was solely because they have that many players playing in Europe anyway, that it was just easier for them to actually play those games there and travel everybody about. But hey, I've had a lot of problems with this nation's championships and the players talking about the travel, and all I ultimately say is that it's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks of some of the best rugby you could be playing for your country. So it's just if your body's not ready, then you've got to put your hand up and say to your coach, to your boss, being like, I'm not going to be able to play the best rugby that I can play. But if you are, and you can just slog it out for 3 weeks, just go for it. Um, but Fiji, yeah, hopefully something can come good, because I think they are one of those countries that rugby is in a good space if they're doing well. I love this. I love how they play rugby. They were a light, a shining light in how they were playing in 23. Love them to bits, and people love to see them win. And yeah, say similar with Wales. Rugby's a good place when Wales are winning, in fairness. Um, it's just, yeah, I'm gonna put them down on a harsh note because my wonderful colleague Connor Davies, whenever I slag off Wales and go, "You are terrible, you are this, you are that," he always goes, "Well, how many Six Nations have you won?" So if you're going to hold that standard, Connor, I'm going to slag you off the standard of we're Six Nations championships. And if you're going to hold yourself to that mark, you're rubbish and you're not hitting those notes. We can say you're building up this transition, but Wales, you're really not exciting me. You've still got so much work to do to actually try and start competing with the big dogs. But like we always say, there are good players there. Jack Morgan, Dafford Jenkins, Christ when they're all at their best game, it's a strong team. It's a strong team. So um hey,
It's to
I
see
think it's
Wales do better as well, right? Like just a general comment of them getting a win in the July internationals is huge, but everyone wants to see Wales be a better team.
yeah.
Like
Mhm,
it's not good for rugby when teams like Wales, Fiji aren't competing with teams they should be competing with. So
mhm.
again, I'm not Welsh. It's all my grandparents are, but I want to see that team do better. They need to. I don't know what needs to change. Um, in terms of, I think there's a few players I'd like to see come in. But yeah, it's you want to see Fiji do better. You want to see Wales do better. So let's see.
And then hey, but as we round off the nations championships and we move on to this next period, I'd say we're gonna do a general. We're not gonna do a weekly podcast, but we're gonna do bi-weekly podcast. We want to bring a proper show to the table, something entertaining. So please, if you're watching this video, leave comments of what you want us to talk about, any rankings we want to do, a debate versus this player, anything. Give us a little shout, and we're going to properly put our heads together and bring you a real show instead of just this reactive
Mm.
what happened this weekend in the rugby kind of thing. It's going to be proper, more evergreen content as we call it. And if you want to find out the major news, the more up to date news, go follow Finn Morton Sports on Instagram. He collabs quite a lot of it with our Instagram channel as well. So if you follow those channels, you'll be up to date with all your top rugby news, as well as downloading the Rugby Pass app, because then that's how we get paid.
Yeah.
But to round this whole episode off, uh, I want to hear your MVP quickly. Who was your player of this first half of the Nations Champs?
Air Jordan, Michael
Jordan.
Jordan, Will Jordan. And this is he was 6 tries, 3 games. Became the first All Black to reach 50 test tries. Oh, I didn't see anyone talk about this on socials. I was very disappointed, but Portia Woodman Wycliffe at the World Cup last year became the first New Zealander to reach the 50 test try milestone. Will Jordan equaled that by becoming the first All Black to reach 50, but he's just become the first New Zealander to score 51. I feel like I feel like someone, it's a bit disappointing that no one's mentioned Porsche. And I guess the significance of that record as well, because I feel like there is something there. But yeah, Will Jordan shifting from fullback to the wing, master stroke, genius from Dave Rennie, mate. 6 tries, 3 games. You can't ask for much more. And he's a leader within that team now, eh? Will
Yeah.
Jordan. He did media. We had him after the test at Eden Park. He spoke to the press obviously after the game in Wellington as well. He's one of the world's best.
That's fair enough. I thought you were going to say Cam Roigard. I thought you were going to go back on your Cam Roigard train because he has been wonderful as nation's champs. But big shout out to Will Jordan breaking that record, going down as an All Blacks legend. Surely,
Mhm.
it'd be a big topic if he makes it into a 15. But we can save that debate for another time. I
Yeah.
will give you my Northern Hemisphere champion, and like there's a lot of names. Do you know what? I'll give a small shout out to Marcus Smith at 9. He actually works quite well as a scrum half,
Pretty well.
surprisingly. And I love seeing Marcus Smith on the pitch. So any realm that he can make his biggest impact, play 9, do this, do that, go for it. Give it a try. Because when he's bringing out his flair, there's that extra level to England's game, and that's what makes them a really exciting squad. So just make sure he's in there. Make sure he's in there. But I will go. I will say, um, since I've highly rated Scotland's run in this nation's championship, I've got to go for yeah, just a little bit. I've got to go for Sione Topolotu. Uh, he's now he's the captain of Scotland. He is Scottish rugby. If
Mm.
he's not playing well, then I don't think we're going to play well at all. His his Wallabies, what the hell did you do? He wanted to play for Australia. I'm not even getting by that. I know I'm not going to say he wanted Scotland at all. It's just Wallabies didn't take him, and it's an absolute howler that they've had. Um, but he's fully invested himself into the Scottish game, into being Scottish, taking on his grandmother's roots, and I've got it. Yeah. He's been absolutely amazing. And if he keeps leading the line for Scotland like that, we're going to see some really good things coming our way.
Yeah, it's a real shame. If you, I would love to actually, maybe this is something else I could do for a future pod, but to go through, make up a best 15 of players who are from Australia, who are playing overseas and not playing for the Wallabies, because there's three guys in the French 23 that played the Wallabies alone. Um, Emmanuel Mialfo, he went to
Mm.
Ipswich Grammar School. He's born in Auckland, to be fair, but he went to Ipswich Grammar, which is close to Brisbane.
Yeah.
Thomas Staniforth. I think Thomas was a former Australian under-20s captain as well. So genuinely, it would be a fascinating list. And Sione Tuipulotu would be the captain of that theoretical team. So something I can do for a future rep.
A leader of men for sure. And yeah, I'm so grateful that we've invested into finding these stars that have been snubbed by their international teams, And
Yeah.
even thank you, South Africa, for giving us Pierre Schoeman and Duhan van der Merwe, I think Duhan, I will say, I think he's coming to the end of his Scotland career. There's a lot of competition in those wing spots now, so you might not see him as much going forward, but I think he was well needed for that period of where Scotland were and what Scotland were doing, where we really needed that impact player. And he might go down, and he will go down in history as scoring the best Scotland try ever against England. So all-time legend. So can't knock him. But hey, thank you everybody for letting us have your players, because now we're the best in the world. But that is the best way to leave the pod. That's the best way to sum it all up. And I just want to thank you all for listening along and having a bit of fun with us, because it's been an absolute blast. And we will hopefully keep bringing you top class episodes leading into the Nations Championship of the autumn. What are you going to do with the brief time off you get from rugby?
We don't get time off. Our season's still going. So, like I said, I'm off. I'm off to Allianz Stadium tomorrow for the Wallaby squad announcement before they play Japan. I'm not going to Japan because I got my girlfriend's birthday, and you got to do the important things. You got to do the right things. But I'll be there in Townsville, I think, for the second, for the reverse leg, basically, when the Wallabies host Japan, and then we've got a busy time coming up. The Springboks come here the end of next month. The Bledisloe in just under 3 months, and then the Wallabies also go to Argentina, Nations Champ, Sevens preseason starts in a couple of months. It's a good time to be alive. How's that?
Good time to be alive.
I love
for
rugby. I wouldn't want time off. I wouldn't want time off. I wouldn't want time off. I'd be bored.
At the end of the day, do you know what? I'll end this episode wonderfully with a word from George from Georgia. I need to show up his full name, but he used to be the head of the Georgian Rugby Union and is now a World Rugby chair member. And he was gracious enough to, absolute wonderful host, invited us and a couple of World Rugby team members down to a vineyard, his vineyard, show us some wine, gave us some absolute dinner, and he had a little speech before we properly tucked into the dinner, and he simply said that rugby is life. Rugby makes the world better, and it brings us all together. And going forward, when rugby is good, life is good. So thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you later.
What a good way to end it. Are you joking?